Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Gopinath, Radha Gopinath Shri Radhe. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe, Jaya Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra, Jaya Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Nitai Gaura Haribol, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribol. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari. Namo Vishwapat Paramahansa Parivrajagacharya Ashtottashata. His Divine Grace Abhay Charana Arvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya Beauty Founder Acharya Jadguru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि श्री गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरी गोवर्धन की जय। श्री श्री वृंदावन मथुरा धाम की जय। श्री श्री नवद्वीप मायपुर धाम की जय। गंगा माई जमुना माई की जय। भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय। उपस्थित सावत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। निथाय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namo Vishwadaya Krishna. Granthrat Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Welcome to the Srimad Bhagavatam class. Today we are going to read from Canto 1, Chapter 15, titled The Pandavas Retires Timely, and text number 44. Udichim praviveshasam. Udichim praviveshasam. Gata purvam mahatmavi. Gata purvam mahatmavi. Vridhi Brahma param dhayan. Vridhi Brahma param dhayan. Navarteta yato gataha. Navarteta yato gataha. Udichim pravivesasam. Gata purvam mahatmavi. Vridhi Brahma param dhyayan. Navarteta yato gataha. Udichim praviveshasam. Gata purvam mahatmavi. Vridhi Brahma param dhyayan. Navarteta yato gataha. Udichim praviveshasam. Gata purvam mahatmabhi. Vridhi Brahma param jayam. Navarteta yato gataha. Udichim praviveshasam. Vridhi Brahma param dhyayam. Navarteta yato gataha. Udichim praviveshasam. Gata purvam mahatmabhi. Vridhi Brahma param dhaya. Navarteta yato gataha. Udichim pravivesasam. Gata purvam mahatmabhi. Vridhi Brahma param dhayam. Navarteta yato gata. Udichim, the northern side. Pravivesa asam, those who wanted to enter there. Gata purvam, the path accepted by his forefathers. Mahatmavi, by the broad-minded. Riddhi, within the heart. Brahma, the supreme. Param, Godhead. Dhyan, constantly thinking of. Nivartita, past his days. Yataha, wherever. Gataha, went. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada, Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Translation. He then started towards the north, treading the path accepted by his forefathers and great men, to devote himself completely to the thought of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he lived in that way wherever he went. Purport. It is understood from this verse that Maharaj Yudhishthira followed in the footsteps of his forefathers and the great devotees of the Lord. We have discussed many times before that the systems of Varnashram Dharma, as it was strictly followed by the inhabitants of the world, specifically by those who inhabited by the Aryavarta province of the world, emphasizes the importance of leaving all household connections at a certain stage of life. The training and the education was so imparted, and thus a respectable person like Maharaj Yudhishthira had to leave all family connection for self-realization and going back to Godhead. No king or respectable gentleman would continue family life till the end, because that was considered suicidal and against the interest of the perfection of human life. In order to be free from all family encumbrances and devote oneself 100% in the devotional service of Krishna, this system is always recommended for everyone because it is the path of authority. The Lord instructs in Bhagavad Gita 1862 that one must become a devotee of the Lord at least at the last stage of one's life. A sincere soul of the Lord like Maharaj Yudhishthira must abide by the instruction of the Lord for his own interest. The specific words Brahma, Param indicate Lord Sri Krishna. This is corroborated in the Bhagavad Gita 10.13 by Arjuna with reference to great authorities like Asita, Devala, Narada and Vyasa. Thus, Maharaj Yudhishthira, while leaving home for the north, constantly remembered Lord Sri Krishna within himself, following the footsteps of his forefathers as well as the great devotees of all time. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manovishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uta Padakalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagratam Sahakaratam Tam Tam Sajivam Swadvaitam Savadutam Paigana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Lalita Shri Vishakhanitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinavandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrinda Vaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Dev Pranamami Haripriya Vancha Kalpataruvascha Kripa Sindhu Vaevacha Patithanang Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaura Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So in this section, like where like in the text 44, what has been described as the steps for renunciation. So we see like renunciation is a very important part of our bhakti life. And how that needs to be done, it's like it has been given in step by step. So in the last 8 verses, including 44, actually each verse signifies a step which someone needs to take in order to come into the stage or like the successfully coming into the stage of renunciation. So I was just thinking that today as we have completed 44, let's just start from that first stage, which is starting from verse 37, and let's just try to discuss and understand that what are those steps. So it goes back to text number 37. So what I was thinking that I was just going to read the translation and then signifies the step which was mentioned in that each verse, and then we'll go through it. So with 37, the translation was, Maharaj Yudhishthira was intelligent enough to understand the influence of the age of Kali, characterized by increasing avarice, falsehood, cheating, and violence throughout the capital, state, home, and among individuals. So he wisely prepared himself to leave home, and he dressed accordingly. So the first section, which is text 37, actually describing, assessing the situation. What is this current situation in this Kali Yuga? So it is as described in the translation, increasing avarice, falsehood, cheating, and violence. So we know, if we today pick up any news media, we will see that what's happening around us. So some may just close their eyes and say that, okay, as long as it's not happening to me, I don't care. But if you want to go deeper, that's not a sign of intelligence. You have to understand actually where we are. And see, there are various things which are happening and which is completely, they are completely, the word which is used here, avarice. So it is completely against humanity. So just one thing, if we pick up, because there are so many things, if you have to discuss, the whole class will be going on that. Just one of the things that which is going on recently, that they're trying to legalize the abortion in New South Wales. So it is, at this point of time, I think it is legal, with the doctor's consent, that before week 21, because it goes up to week 40, 45 for the pregnancy cycle. 36 to 38. Before week 21, if the doctor gives consent, then you can actually execute the abortion. Now, this kind of, when they're making a call, first of all, why this stage of week 21? Does it mean that before week 21, that there was, that baby was not alive, or there was no consciousness? How they can determine that? And after 21, you can you can't do it. Now they wanted to change the law that during any time, if the doctor says it's okay, you can perform the abortion. So this is if you just want to think if this was that day. In the radio, this debate was going on, and then there was one of the very scholarly person, a lady from one of the most renowned university, and she was very adamant. She was saying that if it is someone's own body, they have the full right to do whatever to their body. So if the baby is coming from their body, they have the right to kill that baby. But that is complete ignorance. The baby, although it's coming from their body, but they haven't created it, the force, the consciousness, it's not from their body. But unfortunately, that intelligence, that knowledge is not there. So they're making the call that, okay, it's my body, I can do whatever we can. So that's why they are trying to make, okay, this based on this one, let's change the law. And also, before week 21 also, if someone wants to go and do the abortion, they actually don't call it abortion anymore. They give it a name. They call it tissue termination. They say it is just a tissue of your, body, and we are just, terminate that tissue. So it is just doesn't have any, life, no consciousness. We'll just take it out. So when someone looks at this kind of situation, this is just an example of one, making that kind of call that, okay, this is not a place. I have to finish my duties here, and I have to move out from this place. So obviously, moving out of the place, renunciate, the first stage, that where you are understanding what are all the anomalies here, and you are taking the first step. Yes, this is not the right place to be. So that is the very first step. So here also Maharaj Yudhishthira, obviously at that stage, at that part of the time, it wasn't that bad, but still, while he was seeing that, the Lord has left the world and Kali has started to come and all this, all these injustices are happening all around. So he made a call, okay, this is time that, I'll move on. So the first step of renunciation. Now, the second one is 38, where the translation is, thereafter, in the capital of Hastinapura, he enthroned his grandson, who was trained and equally qualified as the emperor and master of all land bordered by the seas. That is 38. I will just read 38 and 39, and I will tell you why. Because 39 translation is, then he posted Braja, the son of Aniruddha, grandson of Lord Krishna, at Mathura as the king of Saurasena. Afterwards, Maharaj Yudhishthira performed a Prajapataya sacrifice and placed in himself the fire for quitting household life. So these two verses emphasizes that planning and preparation. So renunciation, like sometimes someone thinks that renunciation, that and in a wide world, general people think that, if someone wants to become a sadhu, they are thinking, they are escaping from the material world. They don't have the strength to fight. So that's why they are escaping. But that's not, renunciation doesn't mean escapism. Renunciation means as the first step that you understood that what is the current situation, it's so bad that actually it's not in your hand, you can't do anything. But rather than you try to analyze and make sense of that situation, rather you spend that time in serving the Lord. So to do that, you have to take, first step is to getting away from there. It is not escapism. It's actually you are just qualifying your position where you are. So you're just taking yourself out from that position of that all this entanglement, and you're situating yourself to serve the Lord. Because that's the knowledge, that's the instructions that we get. So first thing when someone decides to do renunciation is the planning bit. So whenever someone wants to leave and they want to leave their responsibility and move on, it's always that they have to have some successors. So it's not like that, I just leave everything today. I just feeling that this is all bad. I'm leaving and I'm going away. No, that is not the way of renunciation. If you want to renounce, then you have to make sure there is a successor. There is someone who has to take all these duties. And that's what we say that in our Varnashram, so when someone from Brahmacharya, Grahastha, and Vanaprastha, between Grahastha and Vanaprastha, when someone is moving, they are start giving all the responsibilities. Someone is giving to their son or daughter, and then they started to move on. So that requires a planning. You just can't do it whimsically. So planning is very necessary in terms of for that. Then the preparation. Now this is a very important point. That preparation, what does it mean by preparation? You are preparing yourself for this renounced life. So it's interesting, sometimes when we, even our amongst devotees, we speak and say, someone has planned, Prabhu, I'll work until 50. My plan is work until 50, and then I'll leave everything, and then I'll devote myself to full time for service. Now, if you don't have the practice of doing service, or doing or the sadhana, doing your sadhana properly, it's not going to happen that one good morning you just wake up and say that, okay, from today I'm leaving everything and I'm just going to do 16 rounds of chanting, I'm going to read books, I'm going to, going to the temple and do service from today, nothing else. It's not going to happen. It's a matter of practice. You have to practice it. Prahlad Maharaj, that's why he actually instructed that needs to be started as young as from the childhood. Otherwise, it's just not possible that one day you just decide that I'll go and I'll just start doing that. Because if someone's like going to that plan of if someone working until 50 and then suddenly leave everything and doing only sadhana, you are actually very much habituated to a one way of life. And to get out of that life, it's just not possible that you can just turn it around in one day. Yeah, it might be a start, but it will probably take you another 20 years to go to that stage where you are in a practice of continuous practice of doing service. So that's why the varnashram, so again, like varnashram dharma, like how it has been created, that practice is there from the very beginning. So during the brahmacharya stage, you are going through all the necessary practices, which makes you ready for your next ashram, grihastha ashram. Then during the grihastha ashram, you are going through the practices which will make you ready for vanaprastha. And obviously in the vanaprastha, that's the stage that you are fully dedicated in that practice, so that you are fully ready for renunciation. So it's a gradual process. It doesn't happen in one day. And that's why, we see, Srila Prabhupada for us, whoever comes to ISKCON, because these days we don't have varnashram. So he actually somehow, in a way, he is very intelligently put this system, the practice of sadhana, that at least you do 16 rounds of chanting, at least you read some book like Srila Prabhupada books, or read lecture, at least do some service. So you are in that practice of doing that. So when the time comes, you can devote yourself more. And this practice also creates that attraction. Because if someone, every time I've heard that devotees ask sannyasis that what is how we can attract our love for chanting? How can we do more chanting, because it's just 16 rounds and then we say, oh, that's enough for the day. And always the sannyasis, their reply is by doing more chanting. By doing more, you can have more attraction. But obviously, when you go through a different phase of life, you don't have time to do all, because you have responsibilities. But still, you are in that practice so that when the time comes, you can take it up. So that's why here also Maharaj Yudhishthir, he throughout his life went through that practice. So now he's ready. It's not, and that's what we will see in the next verses also. It's not becoming very hard for him, or it's like, oh my God, I have to leave all these things. It is not creating any issues for him. So he's not sad. More than that, he's happily taking all these steps. So that is the third step, which is practice. Then the fourth one, which is text number 40. Maharaj Yudhishthira at once relinquished all his garments, belts, and ornaments of the royal order and became completely disinterested and unattached to everything. So now this verse actually signifies the external purification. Although we know that the internal purification is the most important one, but externality is also matter. So here what has been described, that Yudhishthira Maharaj, he actually relinquished all the garments. So as a king, obviously he used to have all these very expensive garments and all the ornaments. So it's a matter of perception. It's like how the world look at you and also how you look at the world. So now you are just taking out all your garments and you're just saying, okay, now this is I'm now doing fully dedicated into service. So we see devotees, when we go out, we have our specific dress, especially for the men we have dhoti and kurta, right? So when we go out, we are doing for some service, we have that, we wore that dress. But for going to the office or going to some other places, markets, we don't put that. We put other clothes at that point of time. It's a matter of perception, because this dress give that view that, okay, this person is someone who actually has dedicated their life or is doing service to the Lord. And that becomes important from the perception of the materialistic people. For them to get either motivated or they get interested. Because if you don't have that, then they can't recognize you. So we see two examples, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time, there was no sannyasi. There was, he took the, there was sannyasis, but he never thought that he was going to take that. But after coming back, from Gaya, he was saying that he was actually preaching the message of the Lord, but nobody was taking him seriously. They were saying, oh, he's just a young boy, and he's just going through this phase where he's very much attached to the love of the Lord, but it might be infatuation, it will go away. But he then thought, no, I have to make sure that they understand that this is important, this is serious, what I'm doing. So he took sannyas, he took that, he wore that, saffron cloth. And similarly, we saw in this time that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So before Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's time, they were Bhakti Vinod Thakur or Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. They were wearing Babaji dress, they're the normal what the Babajis wore. But Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur thought that, okay, if I have to now preach, then I have to take this dress. Although it's externalities, but it's just to make the materialistic people aware, interested, so that they can think that, okay, they are actually serious about their path. So that's why, this is the next, which is external things, external purification. Then we come to the next one, which is text 41. The translation says, then he amalgamated all the sense organs into the mind, then the mind into life, life into breathing, his total existence into the embodiment of the five elements, and his body into death. Then, as pure self, he became free from the material conception of life. So this one actually is describing the internal changes, internal purification. So basically, to summarize it, what is meaning that basically the five gross element by which your body, material body is made. So you are detaching from that. So realizing the Brahman feature. So you are part of qualitatively you are equal with the Lord, but not quantitatively. So you are part of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You are part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Right? So when you think about that, then what our aim is that to serve the Lord. Because we are part of the Lord, our aim is to go back to the Lord again. How we are going to do it? By serving the Lord, by surrendering ourselves to the Lord. So realizing and then acting on that Brahman feature is very important. Because if you just realize but don't act on it, then you become impersonal. How is that? Because you just think that, okay, I'm part and parcel of the Lord, I came from the Lord, so qualitatively I'm the same with the Lord, so I'm Lord. And it's Lord is within everyone. That becomes impersonalism. That's not our goal. Our goal is to act like Brahman. And what is that acting like Brahman means? That we are actually serving the Lord. We are part and parcel of the Lord. We have to go back to the Godhead and by serving the Lord. So that's why this in this verse, it's very important that Prabhupada mentioned that if someone just think that they are Brahman, then actually they are impersonal. It's mentioned in this verse. So that's why it's important that when we are getting rid of all this material entanglement, it's not easy. And again, this doesn't happen in one day, right? So that's where the practice comes in. So as you do more and more practice, by rules and regulations, that actually helps you to come out of all this material bondage. Otherwise, if you think, oh, on the day of when you become 50 and you just leave your work, it is not just possible. You'll think, oh, that, I had all these positions, I had all this fame and glory, and just suddenly, like with a snap, next day you don't have anything, nobody is asking you, nobody is coming and trying to get things out of you because nobody saying that you are important. Letting go of all these things is very hard in one day. It needs to be with practice, with knowledge, with understanding. So that's why in this stage we see that what Yushi Maharaj is, what he's going through is internal purification, where it is saying that you are not the body, you are the soul. The very first instruction of the Lord to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita. So, just in text 42, the last line where Srila Prabhupada is just mentioning that one must not think that he is Brahman, but must act like Brahman. One who only thinks himself Brahman is an impersonalist. And one who acts like Brahman is a pure devotee. So there you go. We find out what is the definition of a pure devotee. So one who acts like a Brahman, they are pure devotee. So that is the fifth. Now we have three more. Sorry, I have just 3 minutes, but I will just try to go through that. Is it okay? If I just go? Okay. 43. Text 43, translation. After that, Maharaj Yudhishthira dressed himself in a torn clothing, gave up eating all solid foods, voluntarily became dumb, and let his hair hang loose. All this combined to make him look like an urchin or madman with no occupation. He did not depend on his brothers for anything, and just like a deaf man, he heard nothing. So basically here, he has now in the stage that where you have cut all the bondage of the material, like all your belongings, and now you don't have anything, and you have to just go and take the next step and, devote yourself. Now obviously, because this is the very first time that you are doing it, wholeheartedly, until now you're practicing, you are going through, but now it is the time that you are devoting yourself 100%. So there is a fear comes. Will I be able to do it? What if I don't have this? What if I don't have that? The fear comes. But then, at that, when this fear comes, then also, at the same time, that the devotee, they also depend on Krishna. So then they're trying to see that if this whatever situation comes, Krishna will help me. I will just go and I'll do my duty. So my duty is now that I have give up everything and I will preach the glories of the Lord. And for that, the Lord will help me. So we see examples that Srila Prabhupada always used to push for this. He always used to push all the disciples to go into that stage. Just Srila Prabhupada instructs, just go there and preach. Oh, Prabhupada, but we don't have enough facilities. Doesn't matter. Don't worry about that. Krishna will provide facilities. Because he himself came through that stage when he was coming to US. The difference between the disciple and Prabhupada was 100% convinced that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instruction that in every town and village there will be the Krishna consciousness. He was 100% convinced on that. And that used to give him strength. That okay, no matter, I am this very old and this will take this big journey within not in a proper ship, but Krishna will guide me. He will help me. He was convinced. That stage actually called, it is mentioned in the purport, is purified stage of fearlessness. Purified stage of fearlessness. You don't have any fear. There were past times that in India, Prabhupada was going between, like there was a road trip was happening between Delhi, and they were just passing the town. And there was some small towns. Prabhupada asked a couple of disciples, just get down here. Just like that. They were talking and Prabhupada said, just get down here and start something. But Prabhupada, we don't know that language. We don't know anything here. How are you going to, we don't have like enough money. Prabhupada said, don't worry, you have the books. Go distribute. Krishna will arrange. That's how they started center in Amritsar. Like, they're in Agra. Like, this like the places that they were going. Prabhupada is just like, so that Prabhupada always used to push that fearlessness. Because that fearlessness, when that comes, you are totally dependent on the Lord. Like then you don't have anything. Like, because all those fear will still be there if you think that you can manage it. What if it is like, I have to manage like this. So those fear will come. As soon as you say, okay, nothing to fear, it's on the Lord. Whatever situation He will give me, I will just go through that. So that gives the stage of purified fearlessness. And then the last one, the text 44, which we went through today. Here what is described that Yudhishthira Maharaj actually, this whole process, actually he took the footstep of his forefathers. So the last step is actually the following the footsteps of the acharyas. So that is the last step. That when we reach this stage and we know that, okay, now we know that we have give away all the material engagement. Now we are ready to serve the Lord for fully 100%, 100%. And I don't have any fear. But that doesn't mean that you go and do something like, whimsically, or you do something which is completely different. No. What we should do is follow the footsteps of the acharyas. So what they have done, we know that, we have read in the scriptures, we know that what their process was. So we have to just follow that process. It's not that we actually, because you reach that stage, which most of the people will not be able to reach, but it doesn't give you that license to go and do whatever you think. No. You have to follow the footsteps. So that's why we see that Yudhishthira Maharaj, he then started towards the north, treading the path accepted by his forefathers and great men, to devote himself completely to the thought of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he lived in that way wherever he went. And that concludes the full process of renunciation. So, I'm sorry I've got a little bit over time, but hopefully going through these stages was helpful. I just wanted to thought that these whole 8 stages, to just give a recap, and then we understand that this is the process. And the beauty of it, it doesn't mean that you have to, this process you have to follow when the time of renunciation comes. No, you can follow this process from now on. And then, even within staying in whichever ashram you have, you can still be renounced. That's the beauty of Krishna consciousness. So with that point, I would like to end here. Thank you very much. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nithai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bo. Samveta Gaura Bhakta ki jai.